What if every student had access to their own writing coach, tutor, or even a character chat, all in one safe, guided space? With Brisk Boost, you can turn any article, video, or resource into an interactive, safe AI chat experience that meets students where they're at. Whether it's crafting a debate, solving a real-world math problem, completing an exit ticket, or learning alongside with a tutor, students get personalized support with the guidance of their teacher. Let's explore how Brisk Boost brings learning to life. To walk you through how to get to Brisk Boost, I'm going to start by opening the Brisk Extension. You'll see here that we do have Boost Student Activity. Once I click that, I have two options. I can create from a web page or even start from scratch. Now in this case, I'm going to create from a web page. To give context, this is an article about Dr. Jane Goodall. So you'll see that here, and what I want to do is create an activity to engage my students. So let's click Create from this web page. We can now tailor this activity for our students. Notice that right away I can select a class or I can always add a new one. I'm just going to select one that's pre-existing. Now down below I do have the option of how I want to engage my students. Do I want a tutor, a debate, a hook? You'll see so many options in here. I can even engage in a pulse check or an exit ticket, writing coach, and so much more. For this activity, I actually want to engage my students in a character chat with Dr. Jane Goodall. Next up, I can always add a rubric. I can click standards and attach any of my learning standards I want associated with the activity. I can even translate to over 55 languages. I can also adjust for the grade level. Now, I can always enter a prompt here, or I can always choose from some of the activity ideas. You'll see that Brisk does offer some. If you're not sure where to start, you can always search for more. In this case, I do have a prompt, so I'm going to go ahead and enter it. Personally, I like to be very specific with my prompts, but now we can always refine further. Let's go down and click Continue. Now we get to customize the activity further. Now at the top, you'll see that I do have learning objectives. Notice that if I hover, I can always choose to edit any one of these. I can also choose to delete them. Down below, I can add more. I can always toggle to either show these to my students, or I can choose to turn them off. Now, under learning objectives, you will see AI guardrails. This is where you can really tell Brisk how to interact with students. In this case, you can see the ones that exist already. Maintain the role of Jane Goodall throughout the conversation, only stepping out of character briefly when necessary to provide historical context. Now, you can choose to edit any of these however you'd like. Looking down even further, you also have scaffolding support. Brisk will automatically identify how to adjust for students who might be struggling and also for students who might be more advanced. You know your students best, so you can always go ahead and customize however you'd like. Finally, at the bottom, you can always choose your student document setup. Let's go ahead now and create our activity. Our Brisk Boost activity has generated, and now I'm just going to give you a little tour. Now notice right away, we can see our learning objectives. If you decide you want to make any changes, you do have the option up here at the top to edit. Once I click edit, I can go right to those learning objectives and make changes. And I can also go right to activity guidelines, and I can adjust my guardrails or my scaffolding. Along the left-hand side, you'll see that you can also toggle through the resources. I can open the article in a new tab, or if I want to go to the character chat and just have that be my whole screen, I have that option too. Notice that down below, you can also add more to this resource. So if you want to create a bundle to share with students, you can. I can add a resource such as uploading a file. I can also choose from my Google Drive, or even add a link to a resource or another website, anything that you want to create these instructional materials for your students. Returning to the top, you'll also see that I can click the share button. Now, keep in mind, Brisk does integrate with your learning management system, so I can always copy this link and share it directly there. As another option, I can always choose to share activity with students using a QR code or this link and the code. So you do have options for whatever works best for you and your students. Last, you can also share the template with your colleagues so they get an exact copy of what you created for your own students. Let's explore the chat experience through the lens of a student. If I'm a student, I'm going to go right ahead and I'm going to click Let's Go. You'll see right away that Brisk Boost begins to engage with the student. Now, students do have the option to listen in. They also can chat via text, but they can also go in and attach anything they'd like as a response. They can also use the speech option. What I really like about this is that the students can look through this conversation, but they can also return to the article. So this allows them to be engaged, but also go back and reference. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter my response to Brisk Boost. As an educator myself, what I appreciate most about Brisk Boost is how it interacts with students. Now, notice here that I was accurate with my response, so it goes ahead and confirms, but it also continues to engage and ask further questions. Likewise, if I put in an incorrect response, it's going to redirect me and provide information to support my learning. That's where that scaffolding comes into play. Notice that up at the top, you can see which learning objective is in progress. Now, as the educator, I can also come up and I can view progress. If I had a group of students within that activity on Jane Goodall, it would look like this. Because I don't have a full group of students in here, you'll notice that I do have a mock student, and you can see the status is in progress. If I hover over the numbers, I can see the learning objectives and where students are working. Additionally, I love that I can view the chat. This allows me as an educator to look in quickly and identify how my student is progressing. Notice at the top, I can always pause the activity, but I can also download the chat. So if I want to use this as part of my student's learning portfolio, I can do that too. Brisk will also provide next ideas for any activities. So notice that if I click next ideas, it will take me to additional resources to extend the learning. Now I have countless instructional materials at my fingertips, but I also can access Brisk Next chat to refine or iterate any of the results. With Brisk Boost, you can engage your students with all kinds of interactive learning activities guided by you. Additionally, you can also access next ideas with Brisk. You'll be able to gain countless instructional materials to supplement your students and guide them in their own learning path. We can't wait for you to dive in to Brisk Boost.